The Apartment Gurus podcast is brought to you by Greenlight Equity Group, an apartment acquisitions and holdings firm co-founded by Carl York and Tate Siemer, host of this show. We offer you the opportunity to be an owner of cash-flowing, wealth-growing apartments without the headaches of being a landlord. These assets are recession-resistant, risk-mitigated, offer significant tax advantages, and are a great alternative to the stock market. Ready to check it out? Go to www.investwithgreenlight.com today to book a personal consultation with Carl or Tate. Again, that's investwithgreenlight.com. We look forward to meeting you. Welcome to The Apartment Gurus, where twice a week, host Tate Siemer brings you deep dive interviews with the wisest gurus in the apartment investing industry. These experts are sure to create game-changing value and inspiration designed to catapult your business to the next level. Be sure to reach out to Tate at www.investwithgreenlight.com for access to his investor portal and Calendly link. And now, here is Tate Siemer and the Apartment Gurus.
Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Apartment Gurus podcast. And there's Harley Davidson's like whizzing by 40 feet in front of me. We're like giving this noise isolation microphone the maximum volume test today. I'm at a Starbucks and, no affiliation, but why not give them a little bit of props, I guess. Not that they need it, but yeah, they're at one of those places in Traverse City, Michigan, still on vacation, hanging out at my family lake cottage with my mom and dogs, and my brother's coming up. And so it's been a great stay so far. And I'm really excited to get to do this particular episode with a man who I have gained so much like admiration and respect for over the last, what's it been, Dean? 8, 9, 10 months, somewhere in there that we've been working together.
Yeah, I think it's been, about eight months, a little over 8 months now. Yeah.
And just the way, so context here is that Dean is one of my one-on-one coaching clients and also a member of the Multifamily Octane Mastermind, which is our kind of select little mastermind that is all about getting deals done. And Dean has just excelled and been a leader in the group. No other way to say it. Just has stepped up and really kind of set the cadence and the standard for, getting things done highly effectively and efficiently, and kind of moving the business from one square to the next, and, one space to the next on the board game, if you will, with a lot of effectiveness. And amongst other things, Dean, you're just extremely humble. You're extremely coachable, but you're also you are. The analogy that comes to mind is like an oak tree, dude. You're solid, man. You are super solid, hardwood, dude. I really respect you and admire you, dude. So such an honor to have you on the show. And we've been talking about doing this and kind of been waiting for something big to happen in the deal realm to bring you on. And that's happening. And so we thought we'd take advantage of the opportunity to kind of do an inside look into that whole deal and that process, but also take the opportunity to just have you on the show, Dean, and talk about you and your story and kind of how you've gotten to where you are. Just even in the last 8 months, the amount of growth and quantum advancement in your own business and your own personal development world and everything else. I'm just so proud of you. So on that gushing intro, Dean, welcome to the Apartment Gurus. It's awesome to have you, man.
Oh, thank you, Tate. That is very kind of you. With what an introduction. I've listened to so many of your episodes and have just admired so many of the guests, and to feel like I'm now actually on here is like a little bit, I don't even know the right word. I just feel so honored and I feel humbled to be a part of it. So anyway, it's been great. When you said 8 months, it feels longer than that, but it hasn't. So,
well, amongst other things, one of the many books that you've taken on really studying and absorbing and implementing in your life is the 12-hour or the 12-week work year, right?
12-week year. Yeah.
12-week year. Thank you. Yeah. 12-week year. And I guess let's just take a second and talk about that and like kind of how that has I mean, you've really done that, Dean. You know, you've squeezed a couple of years into 6 to 8 months here. Like, it seems to me like you've really moved the needle and moved it quickly. So talk a little bit about like kind of what that book did for you and you know, how it contextualizes like what you've been up to.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I read the book and it just made so much sense to me, cause at work, I've set goals and we worked on goals and I still work in my full-time day job and to, and the goal seems so distant. And when it talked about, having a goal that was a year out and you don't do much in the first month and then the first quarter and you think I still have so much time left. And so you just kind of put things off. And I've seen it happen over and over throughout the years of setting goals and in the workplace. And when I read that, and it just talked about just kind of get rid of the whole idea of a 12-month calendar year and just think of the year as being 12 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And if you shorten and condense that time frame and what you can actually accomplish by strategically setting the goals, putting into the plan in place, and measuring your progress each week towards those goals. That just made so much sense to me, and I thought I need to do that, and so I kind of went all in on it, and it was so funny that how it worked out. I set a goal for myself a little over 12 weeks ago, and my goal was I was going to close my first multifamily deal in the next 12 weeks, which it seemed big and a little bit crazy, but we actually signed. And so that goal would have been completed on July 12th. Mm-hmm. And I signed the PSA on July 7th. And I thought, whoa, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. So it worked. Like I'm all in on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a number of things that you can really speak now with some like expertise to, like the Miracle Morning, for instance, Hal Elrod's book and his system, his Saber's system, and how to kind of create your day by creating your morning and by using a few different technologies, so to speak. We can talk about that, but I really I just kind of want to dive right in, and then there's so many different ways that we can go with this, but just talk about the last. Well, let's see. Today it's a Monday. You did the inspections Thursday, Friday. So just talk about the last 4 or 5 days of your life. Let's say 5-6 days of your life, Dean. Basically, what have you been up to? And I guess we should probably set the context for listeners that Dean. Yeah, you mentioned you signed a PSA for a deal in Norman, Oklahoma. 160, how many?
142
units. Sorry. Yeah. And yeah, super exciting, kind of just solid deal, right? Good value add, upside, but also just does very well, in place as it needs to work well for investors. And for Dean and for his groups. So talk a little bit about what it's been like, I guess, a little more broadly since that PSA got signed.
Yeah. Which was kind of a interesting day for me. I remember sitting there before I clicked send, I signed it and I knew sending that, it was full game on at that point. Yeah. Exciting, things that I had made a goal for, I have, looked forward to this day, and it was great. But since then, yeah, and especially if you just think the last 5 or 6 days and preparing for the property inspection. I mean, and you mentioned this to me as we were talking about this, because I had mentioned to you, I feel like I was kind of on this learning curve as far as, underwriting and all that part of the deal. And you'd mentioned to me that, well, once you're under PSA, the only way to really learn is to go through it. And there's a ton to do. And that has been very, very true. And I feel like I've just been on this accelerated learning course of just understand, the process. It's not just one thing. You're working with the attorneys, you're working with the brokers, you're working with the, lining up the inspection, and just that whole, and you're trying to keep all those things in the air at the same time. And it's been busy, but I haven't felt totally overwhelmed. I feel like part of my background, I've managed projects at work, and so it feels very, very similar to that. You've got timelines, you've got you need to keep things going in a certain order, and so that's been true. But I think that background has definitely helped me in all this. But I guess the last few days, just going in on the inspection, I showed up not really knowing exactly how it would go. I met the team there in Norman. We are the inspectors, and we had a couple of teams show up. We walked every unit and did that pretty much in a day and a half. Went through every unit and met the staff on site. And there's just nothing like that experience of learning and walking the property. I mean, I walked it before we signed the contract. I mean, went into a few of the empty units and walked the outside of the property. But when you're looking into it in such detail, and you get to meet some of the tenants while that are there, I have a journal right here, and I've just been writing every day. I'm trying to capture my feelings, my experience, and the whole thing, because I just don't want to miss out. And this is the first deal. I know there's a ton I'll learn and think back on, and I want to share that with other people. And so that's why I've been recording that.
Yeah, it's so money. It's so next level that you're doing all that, because journaling not only is a record for you for looking back to, but it really is part of creating your present reality, in my opinion. The words and languaging that you use to write about yourself and your business and your life and your mission and what you're up to, your purpose, all of that just turbocharges what you're up to. So to me, one of the reasons why it's one of Hal Elrod's morning routine exercises, journaling or scribing, as he calls it, is just that. It's one of those super powerful, highly leveraged, in my opinion, activity that can really move the needle in so many different ways in your life.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I know it's been huge for you.
Has been, and it's from capturing, not just it's helped in capturing and remembering details about parts of the deal, as far as the back and forth and negotiation. I've written about those experiences. I've written about my own emotions, the excitement, some of the just the feelings. I wanted to capture those, and then it just helps me think. Sometimes I'll be thinking through and I'll feel there's so much going on. And then when I write, I just feel like I'm just getting all this stuff out of my head and onto paper. And then I can kind of just go back and see it more clearly and just kind of decompress a little bit. But
yeah, for sure. Well, I don't want to dig too terribly much into the specifics of the deal for a few reasons. I think number one, there will be specifics available to everybody at some point, likely through a public webinar that we'll end up having. And we don't even know when this will get released, by the way, because we're going to have to sync it up legally with what we're up to on our SEC regulation D filings, as far as what exemption we're taking, whether it's a 506B exemption. It looks like we're going to start out as a 506B on this deal. So we might even go back and pick out some audio that we had in there that maybe got a little more specific on the deal. But we can certainly talk about the experience of doing the deal so far and what it's been like for you. And you know, I think it's just so key that you've been as like conscious as you've been through this whole process, and doing it. To me, you know, it's not a coincidence that you're doing the work every single morning, and you made it a part of your every single day to do the are you doing it all 6, 7 savers at this point?
Yeah. I've been doing them.
Mm-hmm.
Started the first day of May. And I was just really going to focus on a couple of savers, you know, the silence, affirmation, visualization, exercise, reading, scribing. I was just focused on affirmations and visualization. But after a few days, I started to notice the momentum and the energy building inside me. And I thought, why am I doing just 2 of these? And since about the first week, I've done all 6. And this morning was day 85 in a row of doing the savers. And it's just become part of me, part of my morning, my routine. It was kind of an interesting experience. I had to, when I was flying back from Oklahoma this last Saturday morning, I was catching an 8:30 flight, or the plane was leaving at 8:30. I had to be back to return the car rental at 7 a.m. I was staying with my brother, who was about an hour and 45 minutes away from the airport. So I had to get up at 5 to make it to the airport on time.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, stay up a little bit later than I probably should have, talking with him. And so I didn't get up and do the savers right that morning, but I thought I got to the airport and plenty of time, and I thought I can still do this.
Nice.
And I did it right there in the airport.
Wow. So what does that look like? So what do you do in the airport, like for exercise, for instance? What do you end up doing?
I just set my watch on, record my walk, and I did a couple of laps down the terminal. Got it. Back and forth. Did my exercise.
Something to get the body moving.
Yep.
Yeah. Whatever. I love that, because I love that it's not like, oh, Tate, I'm hammering out, 25 burpees and 50 push-ups and 100 sit-ups. Like, just because, depending on what you are going for, obviously that could be great and appropriate, but like, sure, the fact that you have established the consistency and the habit, now it's all habit and it's part of your lifestyle, it's automatic, I think could largely be attributed to, like, none of these pieces are huge, right? Like, they're all easily done and easily approachable and doable, right? Like, none of them are. Do you take more than 10, 15 minutes with any of the savers?
No, not usually. Usually it's maybe, the whole, if I have, depending on time, but my whole routine is usually a half an hour to 40 minutes in the morning. Yeah.
And it's scribing, affirmations, or silence, I guess is the first S. Affirmations, visualization. E is, I always forget the exercise, the most obvious one. R is what's R?
Reading and scribing.
Scribing. There you go. So there's the savers right there. And 5 minutes of each one of those, like, boom.
Yeah, it doesn't take much time. Yeah, so I just put on my AirPod while I walked, put on an audiobook, listened to a book, walked, and
nice.
Nice.
How do you think it's affected? Like, you went out and you started looking at, when you went and started creating deal flow, which is part of the progression that people in the mastermind and coaching go through. Eventually, after you build your brand, you take on building your company brand, then eventually your personal brand as well. But, just positioning yourself as far as having the assets you need, the landing page, the credibility kit, the logo, all that stuff that the LLCs, everything that you need to put in place to go out and start doing business and creating deal flow. Eventually you get to creating deal flow. Some people get to that stage sooner than others, just based on how long it takes to get through some of that initial foundational stuff. So for you, Dean, talk about like how you feel. I just want to make sure that we really capture the magic of this morning thing that you've got going on. So how do you feel like that has helped enhance the progression of getting to like coming out of the gate and not swinging for the fences, but just kind of like going big, like talking to big brokers in major metropolitan markets that are doing $5, $10, $12 million deals. Do you see or I guess a correlation or even causation there between your the morning stuff that you've created for your life and what you've been able to get done in your business?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. It has. And kind of just back up just a little bit before I started, I just started this routine, not even quite a full 3 months ago.
Right.
But it was interesting. Prior to that, I had a deal that I had been working on and going back and forth negotiating with a broker. And in thinking back about that experience and how I felt, it was my first opportunity to really kind of be kind of in a negotiation scenario with a broker on something. And I felt, I don't know, for lack of a better word, I just felt a little bit intimidated by the whole experience. And then when I started this miracle morning routine, and since then, the confidence level I've built in myself, the belief in myself that I can do these things. And while it hasn't been each morning, it just started off, kind of, that first week small. And I think it's just been a testament to me of consistency, of doing little things, seemingly little things every day, and how that can transform you in a really a short period of time, like the consistency, to where, now I feel so much more confident in myself. I believe, and I have a clear, I start my day with so much more intention. Like I visualize, sometimes if I'm thinking about, I'm going to have this conversation today, visualizing how I want it to go, how I think it could go, how I would respond to something that may not go the way I think, and how would I want to show up. So I think for me, and that's one of the things that I really learned through this whole process, is how I feel on the inside is how I show up to the world and in business and every other aspect of my life on the outside. And it's just, and before I didn't really understand that. Like it wasn't something that I felt, prior to doing this, I wouldn't have put that together. I guess I wouldn't have really believed that, but it's so true that just, and just this feeling inside, I feel good about myself. I feel confident. And I think that just helps out and how I interact with people around me.
You guys that aren't watching on YouTube, you can't see me smiling through all this, but like I'm smiling huge. It's really kind of hard to put into words what like kind of an honor it is to get to be a part of not just your growth and path and like game plan and war plan and all that, however you want to look at it, like everything that you're up to, but everybody that you and I get to play with in our group and in our little tribe, the Multifamily Octane, which if you guys are listening to this and wondering about that, we should have a conversation at some point. Just reach out to me, Tate at glequitygroup.com, and we can talk about what mastermind, it's a coaching mastermind, and what that means and what that's all about. And I would say if you're very serious and not just interested, but actually committed to making it happen in the multifamily space, like being a member of a high level mastermind group is just a tremendous accelerator, if you will. It'll take a 2 to 3 year timeline and shrink it down to 6 to 12 months of what's possible in the space of getting your business going in the multifamily world. So, yeah.
I'll just say one other thing, Tate.
Yeah.
For me, you kind of touched on a little bit. For me, when I wrote the vivid vision for my business,
right.
One of the things I talked about in there was I truly want to, and I hope that people who see this or listen to it later on that are starting out or new, that are maybe feeling like, I'm not sure I can do this. I'm not sure I'm cut out for it. I mean, that was me 8 months ago, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to, I felt like I could, and I knew that I needed to have some guidance and some and mentorship. And I reached out to you on that and believed and trusted in that. And I mean, who I was in October of last year and who I am today are so different in terms of my belief in what I can accomplish, and so I just hope that anyone listening to this would maybe feel inspired to say, if you're doubting it, you can do it. There's nothing special about me or anyone else. It's just show up, be consistent, put in the work, and you can do it.
Yeah.
Totally doable.
Yeah, it is totally doable. And you've proven that. The one thing I would add to that is, if you can't envision doing exactly what Dean just said, as far as like showing up every day, basically on your A game, like pushing your limit, right? Showing up as a higher and better version of yourself every single day on a business level and every other level of your life. It could be pretty challenging to be successful in base, to be quite honest, because it does take, to me, this is not for everybody. And even just being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. And that's like totally fine. Like, I have no judgment towards anybody about, what their natural tendencies are in the world of business or their professional life or business life or work life or corporate life. Like, but I basically do think that there's a lot of personalities out there that are just more comfortable kind of in the worker bee role. And that can be really high level, and people can actually make a lot of money in those roles. And then I think there's a group of us that are wired as entrepreneurs and just kind of have this natural tendency towards wanting to do big things and wanting to continually better ourselves and better the world around us and have as much impact on people and well-being, in my case, as possible. Yeah. And it's just, everything that you do in terms of the savers, again, to go back to that, and the journaling and whatnot, like, it just turbocharges all of that stuff.
Yeah. Totally agree. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Everything you just said, I would echo that. That's very true. I mean, I think if you want it, if you want to do something, being consistent, showing up, believing in yourself, having a routine, so powerful. How you start your day is just really, really meaningful. So, yeah.
So let's talk about like what there is to do, since we haven't really mentioned Michael Blanc or the law of the first deal yet in this episode. At least I don't think I did. Certainly was thinking about it earlier, but Michael Blanc is famous, and I even have, thank you so much, Mr. Blanc. I have a really beautiful coin on my desk at home that signifies my first deal, my first larger scale commercial multifamily deal. And I got that, I think, 3 years ago at his Dealmaker Live conference. Basically, the law of the first deal, as I understand it, is that it is essentially, it's the hardest deal you'll ever do. It's the most important deal you'll ever do. And it's like, you want to basically get it done kind of like at all costs, right? Like, you want to just make sure you get that deal done, because what happens with the law of the first deal is, once you get the first deal done, then it's kind of game on. Like, especially if you do a bigger deal. Dean, you're talking about a deal that's, let's just say, somewhere between 8 and 15 million, right? Like, that's the size deal that we're talking about with you. You buy a commercial asset in a market like an Oklahoma City of that size and scale, you're going to get noticed, and brokers are going to go, and they'll take a note of you, and then they'll start calling you on other deals that they might be marketing, sometimes pre-market or off-market opportunities. And then the other thing that we haven't really talked a whole lot about yet, and I think we should at least a little bit, is raising capital. And putting the capital stack together on your first deal is always the hardest capital stack you'll ever put together. So that's something that at this point in time, because this is kind of almost like a slice of time in this particular, when we're talking about this one particular deal, that we're still basically putting together the foundations of what needs to be in place to start the capital raise. Right.
Yep.
So, and when I say I should fully disclose that working with Dean on this deal as a operational partner, as general partner as well, I'm sure that there's a need to disclose that. So, and we're doing nothing but being fully transparent here, at least as much as we can based on the SEC. So, oh man, it's so crazy doing guys. 506B versus 506C is a whole conversation that you want to have like a really thorough understanding of. And there's a lot of reasons that a lot of high level syndicators only do 506C, and a lot of good reasons, I think. But if there's good reasons to do a B, then you consider that. So right now, we pretty much know that we're starting this deal in a B, so pretty much need to leave the level of detail where we've left it. I think.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on the capital raise? The way things are structured right now with the debt that is in place, that there's a fair amount of capital that needs to be raised. We're talking to preferred equity sources, but what are your thoughts overall on the capital raise?
Yeah, it's definitely learning and learning how to actually structure one of these deals, and the right amount of partner, co-GP, co-general partners bringing into the deal that can also help raise the necessary capital. For me, it's helped me to and we've talked about this before. The raising the capital, what a key component that is to getting the deal done. You can have the deal flow, underwrite it, but being able to secure the capital to close it is so key. And so that's one of the things that I've really has hit home to me, and understanding that my ability to network and to build a funnel and to be able to bring capital to a deal is crucial. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I'm working on that, obviously, just starting and needing to bring in other people who have that system in place and can help raise that capital where I can't at the moment. But so I feel good about it. I think we've got people that are coming in to help out. As you mentioned, we're talking to preferred equity sources. Hopefully we will find someone here soon. We've got a good lead on that so far. And so that's kind of where we're currently at, trying to get ready for the webinar to present to investors as well. So that's a bit of work that's going on currently to make that happen. So basically, just to summarize, you've got conversations that all have to happen especially with legal and with the lender. But basically, those two, there are key fundamental conversations that have to happen before you can put together an offering memorandum, which is what you need to start to market the deal. Plus, there are certain aspects of due diligence that are going to influence your underwriting. So your underwriting's sometimes a little bit in flux during your due diligence period. So basically, you're talking about, right there's 3 or 4 major balls you got to have in the air just to get to the point of being able to even think about starting your capital raise. And that's just one aspect of all this. There's so much to getting from PSA to the closing table. And I think it's a story that needs to be told thoroughly for everybody to understand what's coming, basically what's coming down the pipe, what all there is to do as the lead sponsor, and everything there is to tune into. Which reminds me, if you guys, listeners, if you guys want a
basically our working operational due diligence checklist and capital raising marketing checklist, and basically everything there is to do after signing the PSA and getting to closing and getting the capital raise done. Email me. I can get you a link to our template spreadsheet on Google Sheets, and you can make a copy of that and go from there. Tate at glequitygroup.com. Best way to reach me probably is that, or you can text me 801-699-4532. I don't think I've ever given out my phone number on the show before. Just, I don't know. Not that it's all good. Like
phone calls now.
I want to hear from everybody. Like, honestly, that would light me up. Start hearing from people on my cell phone, texts and DMs, and yeah, burn it up, guys. I love it. Want to hear from you. All right, Dean, talk a little bit about what the experience of the one-on-one coaching has been like, and then, especially like what the Multifamily Octane Mastermind experience has been like for you, what you expected, what it's been like, and just kind of all your thoughts on it at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It is, kind of going back to the beginning of, when I had watched you, followed you a bit on Facebook and seen some of the stuff you were doing. I was in the single family space doing some flips and short-term rental stuff, but my mind had always been to go to large multifamily. That was where I knew that's where I wanted to go, but I thought that I had to kind of graduate or cut my teeth and do a certain amount. I didn't know. Do I need to do 30 deals, 100 deals? I didn't know. But before I could kind of graduate into this larger commercial multifamily real estate space, and watching you and seeing what was happening, and I knew that it had been on a bit of an accelerated timeline. I thought I wanted to know more, and so I did. I contacted you, and I had a little bit of an exchange through Facebook Messenger, and essentially you told me, no, there's no number of deals. You can do this. Mm-hmm. And then I remember hearing about your podcast, and I listened to a few episodes, and there was at the end, and book a call with Tate, and I thought, well, does that mean I'm booking a call to invest or what? I'm not sure. So anyway, it seemed like an open invitation. So I thought, I'm booking a call.
Cool.
That's kind of how it all started. And I thought, I think our 15-minute conversation turned into a 30-minute, followed by another call the next day. And after talking with you, I thought, I'm doing this. Like I'm in. And I knew that I needed, someone who had the experience, the track record, and could help me to avoid big mistakes and help me to learn the process, which you've completely done. And then when you were talking about launching the mastermind, I was like, this is going to be so good, because I being able to just on a weekly basis, twice a week, talk to the people in our group, be able to hear what they're doing. We share what I'm doing, learning from them. I feel like, you kind of mentioned in the beginning that, I was leading out a bit, but I haven't felt that way at all. I thought, man, there's so many great things happening within the group. And I just admire everyone and what they contribute, and taking notes of what happens in our group calls each week it's been great. It's been transformative. It's been enlightening. It's been, everything I had hoped and more, really. I feel like it just, because I feel like I can, if there's something that I don't know, there's a group of people I can go to and bounce an idea off of. I can get feedback. I can get input. I can get support. And that's, and it's not, and the thing I love about it too, is it's not this huge group of people that I'm just one of, a few hundred or something like that. I feel like that it's very intimate. I feel connected. We had a opportunity to go skiing together this last winter. Yep. Actually, kind of in the spring, I guess. It was towards the end of the winter. We all, after the best ever conference that we went to, and be able to hang out together and in person was awesome. And so it's been really transformative for me and helpful in every way. And I would, to me, anyone who's looking to start out, I mean, not that people haven't and they haven't done it without some sort of mentorship, but for me, I felt like, and where I'm at in the stage of my life and where I wanted to go and when I wanted to get there, it just made so much sense because I've taken decades or years and condensed it down into just months. And that's what I was hoping for. And that's exactly what it's been.
That's awesome. It's a testament to, certainly I think to the group and to our, the members of the mastermind, but it is just such a testament to you too, Dean, and the way that you've really maximized this opportunity thus far and are doing nothing but continuing to keep your foot on the pedal and, just reaching for that next level. And it's like I said, it's such an exciting thing for me to get to be a part of at any level, but especially at the level where it's fun. I get to we basically at this point we talk almost every day, I think at least once a day. Yes. Yeah. And or we're on a meeting together or something. It's really fun to get to do this with people that you trust and admire and just like being around. And we've had some really great times already. You mentioned the skiing, that ski outing with like a lot of our group was there. Our South African buddies were there, Tieran and Sean. We've got a fall gathering coming up here in October that we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So yeah, people that come on board here over the next, 30, 45 days are going to basically have access to our fall gathering, which is going to be epic. So we'll get details on that out as soon as available. So Dean, I guess out of all of a couple questions for you, out of all of the books that you've read, I mean, you've got just in 8 months. I mean, how many books do you think you've read in 8 months?
Oh man, that's a great question. I have read, I don't know, at least 10, 12. I don't know. Just a variety of books, but yeah, and I hadn't been really a reader before. Like, I've read books, but I don't know. It has been, I'm searching for the word but I just have come to the realization. I always liked learning, but this has been, I don't know, very, so helpful and just, I just, like I kind of was mentioning a little bit ago, I just grown so much. I've just, I feel like who I was before to where I am today is I've just grown and it's just been kind of doing those things and learning and trying to implement. It's not just the reading. It's been, I really try to take the approach of, okay, I've learned this. How can I implement it? How can I use it to propel me forward and not just say, yeah, I read this book. It's a great book, and sometimes I'll have more than one book going at one time, but it's been so helpful.
It's awesome. Yeah. Such like I said, just an example of, to me, there's not one magic bullet here. Like there's not one thing that I can really point to and go, this right here is why Dean's successful. It's like, it's all of these things. It's all of the, like you said, the seemingly small things that you do on a day-to-day basis. And the way that they're just automated right now and automatic for you right now is just, that's so cool, dude. It's so cool. Cause I think, personally speaking, I tend to get caught up a little bit in the trying to make the habit work, kind of working with pushing to get the habit in place, kind of, sort of trudging along sometime. Like, and there are things that I've in the habit zone, I think that are good for me, but walking a couple miles a day at this point is one of those. So yeah, I mean, it's all the little things that you do and have done. And it's why I'm very confident that this deal is going to be really successful and smooth, and that it's the first of many for you.
Well, thanks, Tate. Thanks for that vote of confidence. Really, it means a lot, and I hope it's not the first and only, for sure.
Yeah, it won't be. Yeah,
to keep doing it, right? Keep doing many more. So
it's the law of the first deal, man. It's just to bring it full circle. Like getting that first deal done is what it's all about. Like it's just got to get that first deal done. Once you do, like it really is like pushing a boulder up a hill. It feels like that first deal is just like that we're working against gravity feeling sometimes. And then you get up and over the hill and gravity starts to work for you. Maybe not 100%, but a little bit, little by little starts to get easier and easier and easier. So it really does happen that way. You know, us going from basically 0 to 60 million in assets under management in 18 months was basically a product of the law of the first 2 deals, because we did the first 2 deals we did at the same time, actually simultaneously. So anyway, then those were our first larger scale deals. We had our 12 unit and our 20 unit before that. But Dean, awesome stuff. So starting to ask you about all the books you've read. There's got to be at least one that really kind of stands out to you as like being like really highly impactful in your world, I'm guessing.
Yes, and the one that comes to my mind right off when you ask that is Who Not How.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely one of those. I mean, the 12-week year we talked about has been transformative in my goal setting, and it's kind of what we've talked about here is if I were only trying to figure out how to do this all on my own, I 100% know I would not be where I'm at today. And being able to find, for me, you're one of the big who's. And,
I appreciate that. Yeah. Well, you're one of the who's for us too, Dean. And you know, that's your network is your net worth, right? Like that is so true. Like I can't say that enough. Like everything that you guys need to do a deal is available in a partner. So whatever you need in the way, whether it's the deal itself, the money, the credit, even the time, the expertise, the track record, the liquidity, the net worth, all of these things you have to have in place to get these deals done. And it's very rare that one person, especially their first time, has all that stuff. So you gotta partner up. This is a team sport, and the value of something like a mastermind in particular, especially when there's like a coaching aspect to it. It's not just a networking mastermind, but there's like some guidance and progression. That's an aspect to it. I think it can be very, very powerful. It's how I started with Corey Peterson, the big kahuna, my man. And it's what we're creating at Multifamily Octane. And it's really, like I said, just quite an honor for me and honestly, just very gratifying and love my guys, love my group, and 1000% in their corner, making sure that I'm doing everything I can on my end to ensure their greatest access to their greatest selves and their greatest level of success. And, you know, and then we get to just be good friends too, right, Dean? There's that whole aspect too. So we like Dean said, it's pretty intimate. We all kind of know what's going on with each other, and that adds a sense of camaraderie and kind of affinity to the whole experience. So on that, Dean, thanks a ton, man. I really, again, appreciate you and who you are and everything that you're doing and everything you're building. Super exciting.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, this has been great. I mean, this has been truly a great experience for me, being able to be on this, your podcast, your show, and really for me, first podcast I've ever done. So hopefully this turns out well.
I think it did. I think it'll turn out awesome, actually. Yeah. And so very unique perspective. We've never done a mid-deal breakdown before. So we'll, maybe we'll come back and hit on this one again in a month and a half and just do another informative episode. So awesome. Listeners, thank you guys. Love you guys. And appreciate you tuning in to all these episodes. And just want you guys to be as successful and as fulfilled in what you're doing as humanly possible. So please reach out anytime, investwithgreenlight.com. We'd love to hear from you. So on that, thanks everybody, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.
This has been The Apartment Gurus with Tate Siemer. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. To contact Tate, go to www.investwithgreenlight.com for access to his investor portal and Calendly link. He loves to hear from you and thanks you for being a valued listener. Just a reminder that you are the guru. See you on the next episode of The Apartment Gurus.